When we do this, do you hear the intro whenever we start?
What?
Like when we're starting, like right now.
Yeah.
Do you hear the intro whenever we're playing? In like, I know it's not playing right now, but I'm saying like right now. Do you hear the intro?
No.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. I get it. It's okay. It's okay. But yes, I do hear the intro whenever we're starting. Every time. It doesn't matter if we're what we're doing. I hear it every time. I told my class this week that I have the autism that you have the tism that you hear music all the time. So about after that class, I had a girl come up to me and she's like, I have that same thing. Do you know what it's called? I don't remember what it was called, but she told me. She's like, I've been diagnosed. I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you if that's what you took. And she was like, absolutely not. I'm just so glad that other people hear music and it's not just me. But we did take a poll and no other students besides her and myself heard music in their head whenever you're just having a random conversation.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I don't know who, what part of that is in my brain that does that, but you know, it happens. Okay, here we go. One more camera to start. I wonder too if it's sideways on TikTok because it's supposed to be long ways. I don't know. Maybe that's something we can work on later. But I don't even know how to change it, honestly. I don't know how to change it. There's got to be a way. You have a good week?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mine was busy.
Again, I just hate August.
I know you said that last week, and I don't.
It's just hot. Like, I don't mind the things. Well, I like the getting back in the groove of things and school and kids' sports getting going. It's just hot every time you try to do something. So, and I wish it wasn't.
Yeah, we got a cool front coming in, though. Next weekend is supposed to be nice for Labor Day. Is that what's the next holiday?
Yes.
I always get Labor Day and Memorial Day's date mixed up. Not the actual events of what they mean. However, I do get them mixed up in that aspect of what the date is. So which one do you want to start off with? You want to start off with my weekend extravaganza, or do you want to start off with Southwest Airlines?
Your extravaganza.
Okay. So, we talked about a couple of weeks ago about like dads and parents specifically at volleyball tournaments. And really at any sporting event really that involves their own kids. And they can just get out of hand. So we're at a tournament this weekend, and it's a very, very competitive tournament for volleyball. And these guys, the team was going back and forth. It was pretty much point for point the entire game. This is in the second set, so the first game was exactly the same way. And the ref makes a judgment call. It was a bad judgment call, but regardless, he made a judgment call. Mm-hmm. So the next point comes along, another call happens. The ball hits the net, and it rolls down the net, okay? But then it falls in on the opposite side. So no touch on the defensive side, but the offense attacks, rolls down the net, and it falls on the defensive side. Okay, it doesn't that doesn't happen.
Rolls down the top of the net.
Rolls along the tape of the net, and then rolls on the opposing side. So it should be a point this direction. And he goes touch, no point, basically giving it to the other thing because he said it rolled out of bounds. So whatever, it was a bad call, and they could never really come to an agreement. Now I also have to say, as the gentleman was getting up into the ref stand, he was on the struggle bus. He was struggling to get up. He was an older gentleman. Well, the guy at the very top of the stands is just giving him a what for the whole time. It was borderline crossing the line, just the whole time. And you can tell he's been to a few tournaments. Like you can kind of get the volleyball dad. You know who they are,
right?
And so the guy that was sitting down like 4 rows in front of him says something to him like, "Hey man, like just back off a little bit." He's made bad calls on both ways, So the next call comes, and it's an attack. It's right in front of him, so it's his call, and it deflects off of the hitter, and then falls down. So this is going to be it should be another point for the offensive side of the attacking side. And he goes, no touch, out of bounds, gives it to the other team. And the guy proceeds to shout, all right, Joe Biden, sometime today, can we please get this right? And it just set off the guy that was sitting in front of him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
That's not even a good dig.
I mean, it was timed perfectly because it was silent in the gym when he said it. And it was definitely inappropriate, and I would definitely not support saying that type of stuff to an official. But it was like he had made several judgment calls where he was supposed to see it a certain way, and he didn't see it.
Yeah. And
then he goes, like, he even gives like I didn't see it to the coach. And these two guys stand up, and I'm thinking, oh no. And there's not that many people there, but it is at an ISD, so there is an SRO there.
Yeah.
And he kind of starts walking that way, and fortunately it didn't come to fisticuffs. But I was like,
I'm guessing the two dads are on different sides.
Oh, but they're on separate teams, but they're on the same side of the court.
Yeah,
separate opposing teams, and they don't like each other because they've played each other a couple times already this year, and so it was a great game, but it was just like, again, another reason why parents kind of suck in certain aspects of the game. They just make it worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you'll see that a ton in soccer, because I know you're involved in soccer a little bit.
Yeah, but it's I feel like it gets worse with older kids.
It's fair.
I'm not saying that parents of young kids don't, get chippy, but it is those are little kids out there. It seems like there's a little more. And the only time it's really gotten bad, and we talked about it on the pod actually a little bit, it's kind of like both parents. Calls are going bad both ways. So,
Yeah, the thing is ultimately they're humans.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
But it sure is frustrating when it's a judgment call that goes the opposing direction than what you feel like it should go. And sometimes when it's obvious.
Well, and it's a different vantage point. Now, volleyball is a little bit different because the dude's up on a little stand.
Right.
Whereas soccer, the official's on the field running around with them. So if there's an arm tug or a shove, they may not actually see the extension where you can, if you're sitting way up above and looking down on top, you can see the arm extension or the pull. So it's a little bit different that way. You can actually see more up in the stands, I think, than the officials get credit for down on the field.
But yeah, it's been, I mean, overall, like we've probably played, I don't know exactly how many sets we played or games we've played, close to 18. And the officiating has been good so far this season.
It is frustrating, though, when you have several calls, because I'm a Chiefs fan, so last year there were a lot of bad calls that benefited the Chiefs. And I found myself, because I'm so defensive, going back and looking at where that happened in the game.
To see if it made a difference.
To see if it would have made a difference, right? And if it's like, and the thing with the Chiefs is like they would have one or maybe two a game that really never would have made a difference. There was one where it like extended a fourth down, but then they went 3 and out and punted and whatever, stuff like that. But it is frustrating when there's a bunch in one game and you're like, yeah, that definitely could have had an impact. And it's hard to explain to kids, but thankfully my son watches a lot of football, so he gets it.
Yeah.
Calls go both ways. And
yeah. Well, and it just sucks because sometimes it does cost you a game.
Yeah.
And you don't want to blame the refs because there's a lot of different scenarios that can come out.
In a tournament, it could cost your day.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can, in volleyball, like it could depend on whether you're in the gold or the silver bracket for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing in a point differential tournament where the difference in points makes a difference, it doesn't matter. And so that's also the other thing about it too, is like, as you're trying to tell your kids compete hard, and then there's a judgment call that's made that you don't, that goes your opposite way. It sucks. Did you watch the Cowboy game on Friday?
Yeah. I mean, I let it play. I didn't say I'd actually like, it just doesn't matter. And like, I try not to, Here's the thing. It's weird to watch a game like that if they do amazing, I'm not going to feel good about it. And if they do horrible, it's like, that's kind of what I expect. And I don't really care because it's preseason. Like, star players are over there in sweats.
Or laying on the table.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't actually see it. Only saw it reported that Micah was laying on the table. I saw him unfollow. I saw you put on the run sheet too, but I saw that he unfollowed all of Dallas's stuff. And then I saw that like Jerry was, rubbing elbows with his mom and taking pictures with his mom, and so it just seemed like I saw on sports radio this week that they were like saying that this was publicizing the Netflix series and trying to put the Dallas Cowboys in the spotlight for that. And have you watched
that
it?
Netflix series does not make Jerry look good.
No, it doesn't.
Which is good.
No,
he shouldn't look good.
I'm 3 episodes in, so I think
I've only watched the first one.
Aikman just got hurt.
Okay.
So, what was that, his second year? And they lose the playoff game because I don't remember who the backup was, but comes in and plays the last couple of games. So, we'll see. I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's entertaining, but I really thought this whole week that this was the first week of like real college football.
Yeah. Not yet.
I didn't realize it was next week.
We only had Farmageddon in Ireland. How do you feel about? It's been the NFL lately, but now we have college football. They played in Ireland, like Iowa and K-State, which are not horrible teams. Like, it's not like bad teams, but
just playing in a foreign land. Is that what you're saying? Like playing on?
I mean, like, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose to just move it. I don't know.
I don't
really have a hard opinion one way or the other. I don't really care. It to me would have made more sense if Notre Dame had played there.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like, and honestly, that's who I thought was playing.
Here's your team for your people. I just don't get it. Like, I can't imagine the tickets are more expensive. I can't imagine the market over there being what it is to watch NFL football, that they're making more money, by selling those tickets, and they would pack out a stadium here in the States. I don't get it. I don't get the purpose of it, NFL or college.
Here's what's going to be frustrating for me. And I don't know if this is going to happen because I haven't dove deep into it, but if they have all the college football games on different channels that require me to hop from stream to stream, I'm going to be so frustrated with that. Like, if I have to have Paramount Plus and Peacock and ESPN Plus and they're not on local channels like 8, 5, 4, and 11.
Yeah.
I know, I realize I said them way out of number order, but 4, 5, 8, and 11. And then like the local schools and on Channel 33.
Our market is Fox, NBC, ABC, and CBS.
Yeah. So if they don't have them on that, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I do like to flip back and forth throughout the day.
Yeah. I'll do the same thing.
I don't want to just flip. And then like I want to be able to go over to ESPN real quick. See, hey, what's going on? Is there any updates that I need to go? Because like you said like we said last week, I don't have like a team that I root for that I just have to, that I'm a die-hard fan for. And so I just want to watch. Like, I just want to watch college football and enjoy it for what it is. And I was watching somebody on TikTok today, like, just bring back basic cable.
Yeah.
Like, bring back those basic channels. And I mean,
but you can't because
you can. I know you can't.
There's so much specific content just on Hulu or Netflix or like Apple TV. So you would have to have those too. So, and I'm not paying any more for Hulu than I would pay for cable.
Right.
So it is what it is. Like, I used to just pay for Hulu instead of basic cable. But I'm thinking I moved the TV. Our setup's a little different today. It's probably going to be a little different next week. And then the following week, we should be all set for season 2 with our setup and everything. But our previous setup is under renovation. So that's why we're kind of pushed over a little bit in the garage. But I moved the TV, and I was shopping Costco yesterday. And I was like, you know what? You can get another 65-inch TV. It's a TCL. It's not like, Samsung or LG for like $300.
I know.
And I'm like, I need a second TV for the garage for watching college games. Why do I only have one TV in the garage? I need 2.
Well, if you're going to just go 2, you may as well go 4. You got plenty of space.
One on
right
every
there.
wall.
Well, you just got one. You got plenty of space right there.
Yeah. I should just do an LED wall and put several games up.
Yep. Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I support it.
Yeah.
I support that cause. Now, will your wife support that cause is the next question.
It's for the children. The kids like football.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. If we're going to do that, you have 6 kids, right?
Yes.
So you need 7 TVs.
At least.
At least 7 TVs because you got to have one and each kid needs one.
We went forever. Speaking on that subject, we went forever until we moved into this house we as a 1 TV family. There wasn't a TV in our bedroom. Our kids still don't have any TVs in their bedrooms. We didn't have one in the upstairs. We had a TV in the living room, and we did that forever. I don't really know why. We just did. We're trying to be more intentional. Like if we're watching something, we're all watching something. But now, dude, we've blown that out of the water.
Oh yeah.
We got TV downstairs, TV upstairs, TV in the garage, TV in my office, TV in our bedroom.
Well, I think during COVID is when that changed for us. Is like when we needed I remember very specifically running to Walmart one day and like, hey, we need another TV. And we just bought whatever they had because they were all out. Yeah. But like we had one in the garage and we had like even just a moment to escape from each other.
Right.
You know, I think that's when that all kind of got blown out of the water. Like a lot of other things in COVID.
Changed it all.
Oh, so the Twitch says they're pairing with a Fox streaming platform, ESPN is, for $39.99. But it's still a stream, and it still is. I just struggle with that. I struggle with the buffering.
It's not going back.
Yeah, I know, but I can wish.
It's not going back.
I know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just talking about controversial takes. Southwest Airlines this week came out with the fact that
I thought they had already done that.
So apparently it's now going to take effect.
Oh.
Apparently this is now going to take effect.
Maybe they floated it a couple of years ago and got all the pushback. And now with the new sheriff in town.
That's right.
They're like, no.
So Southwest is going to require plus size passengers to buy 2 tickets. Now there is a catch-all. If it is not sold out, the flight is not sold out, they will get a refund for their ticket, their second ticket.
Every time I get on the Southwest flight, we have a completely full flight today.
I know we don't fly as much as you do, but I've never been on a flight where that has not been just absolutely packed.
It's been rare. There's been a few times. Most of the time it's a full flight.
Is it the red eye ones that are not always full?
Southwest doesn't do any red eyes. They may start now under the new management, but you can't fly. Well, I think they did say they were going to start doing some, but in the past, they have not done any red eyes.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I remember seeing is like 4:30, 5:15, maybe the first one out of DFW or Love Field.
Yeah.
But yeah, then other controversial takes. Cracker Barrel has changed their emblem.
If you would not have told me that it was based on, a new CEO who's more woke, and basically a new CEO, liberal white woman, then I just would have thought they just changed their logo.
Now modernized.
I've seen, that's not a thing, right? And I've seen the redo of the inside of some of their stores, and I don't like that. I mean, they cleaned it up, made it more sterile. It's a little more OCD friendly versus just all the crap hanging all over the walls. They've kind of gotten rid of that, and so I don't necessarily like it. Now, it wouldn't keep me from going there.
No, absolutely
not. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm not. There's not a whole lot of places I go to look at decor anyway. But man, they got a mean chicken fried steak and then biscuits and cornbread they bring out.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
We like it, and they got breakfast all day long. So like the decor thing, but then with the logo change, I guess that's what blew up in the news. And
well, she didn't help the situation either.
No, they lost some market value.
Was it
this week?
How much? What did it end? I know you probably checked at the end of the
week.
I'll
look again. I know it was over $100 million.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. I know that their shares dropped significantly over that. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I didn't even know. I wouldn't have even cared all that much if the lady hadn't come out on Good Morning America and said some of the things that she had said.
Yeah,
just leave it alone.
It's like a really deep dive. It's like.
So what was it?
I mean, it's not nothing crazy, but
Well, I mean, for them, it probably is.
So on August, I'm going to try to find the high. August 20th. The high on August 20th, $59.31 a share. And on August 21st, $50.45 a share. I mean, not basically $9.
$9.
And then jump back up the 22nd to 57 and then edge back down. I think it was like, just like you say, like immediate reaction, like boom. And then like, it's not so bad. And then like she comes out and talks on Friday and it's dropped again. Now it's 54.62. Whereas at the beginning of the month, it was almost $62.
Oh no.
That's the 1 week. I mean, the 1 month look ain't that great either. The 6 month look is good. They've come up. So if you go back to April, they were down like $35.
Okay.
And so then they jumped way up. I mean,
so we're on the plus side.
Year to date, their biggest dip was that one in April. They're actually sitting right now at 54.40, about where they were at the beginning of the year. They're at 55.94. So it's a good looking roller coaster, you know. But gosh, over 5 years, Lord have mercy, that's not great at all. We're just talking way too much about Cracker Barrel, but
we are, and their stock and their stocks. I'm here for it.
Basically, on the comeback from COVID, so April of 21, a year after COVID, they're $172 a share.
Holy cow!
I wonder when they sold it, because it got sold. It was a company, basically a family that started it, I think, back in the late 60s.
Well, I just think
they sold it, and then they've had a few CEOs, and this is the latest one.
So, I mean, we're doing a deep dive that I did not expect.
You never know what you're going to get on this podcast.
You never know. 1981 is when they went public.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think that you gotta, man. And I don't know the history behind the actual gentleman that was sitting there.
Mm.
But guess
no,
what?
I think it's just an old timer. From what I heard, it's just a dude.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You shut that.
Yeah, I got you.
There's a ghost in the house.
The producer was standing there going, what's going on?
What's going on? They're talking about Cracker Barrel. Way too long.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. Move it along. That's it's just a big lesson to know your audience. Like,
yes.
Who the heck do you think sits in there and eats at Cracker Barrel? I don't know. Go check it out. And
like, you're not going in there for a stale environment. You're going in there for fried food and stale coffee.
You kind of want it to be like, in here, there's a lot of wood on the walls in this garage. And you can go stand next to them and put your nose next to them and you smell cigars. Because I've been doing this thing for a year and there's a lot of cigar smoke in these walls just after a year. That's kind of how you want Cracker Barrel to be.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of want the smell of it to be in the walls. And, you know, it's a type of place. It's the busiest it's ever going to be at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Because that's when its clientele is going there to eat their dinner.
Correct.
And like, think about who that is. They like all that stuff. They like the way that looks.
They're reliving their past.
They don't want a sterile look.
No.
I'll remind them of the hospital they just came out of. You know?
Yeah, I know. I did not mean to blow in the microphone.
That was bad.
But it's true.
The Gavin Newsom press office that's been making all the jokes said their comment on it was, I mean, they're trying to be Trump. Okay.
Yes.
So that's the premise, right? It's trying to tweet like Trump. And it was they called it looked like a slice of Velveeta cheese. And it kind of does.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Kind of looks like a slice of cheese, same color and everything.
That's the only victory that he's getting lately. Poor guy. He just can't win for nothing. He's not on the run sheet today, so we're not going to talk about him. Okay, ByteDance gets the fourth extension in its sell to TikTok. It was supposed to be done on September the 1st. There was no date that I could find when I put this on here on Wednesday, but they are getting another extension. I feel like this is going to be an ongoing thing that's not going to change.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's going to be sold.
Yeah, I feel like there was a big campaign thing about TikTok and Chinese spying and things like that. And, since Biden let the spy balloon fly across the whole U.S., this is Trump's spy balloon, is TikTok,
I guess. Maybe.
And so he's got to do something about it. But then he's like thinking about the pushback to if he does something about it, because it's not if you don't use TikTok, which I don't, except for this right here that we do,
right.
I never look at it. And that's just me. It's just not one of my socials that I participate with. But if that's you and you think it's just a bunch of kids doing dances, it's not. Like for a lot of the content creators and like people that post funny videos and things and reaction videos on the reels and things like that, their major source of revenue is TikTok. TikTok pays better than Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everybody else.
Yes.
So TikTok going off the air, and you may not care about this, but like those guys, like it means they might have to go work their real job more. A lot of them still work their real job.
Well,
I'm not trying to say they don't have a real job.
No, I know what you mean.
But it's like that's a major source of revenue for them.
Well, I think I get a lot of news from there too. Yeah. Like there's a lot of like I don't want to like I'm going to say their names wrong, but like updates with Jack Mack, and he does like a nightly update of something every day, and then every week he kind of does another one. But it's like that's a lot of places where I get my news. I mean, is on social media, and that's if you're going to take it away, you're then taking away the independent, quote unquote, independent journalism of the whole situation. Yeah.
It is odd, though, that China doesn't allow their youth to use it.
It is odd.
So it's kind of like they know. I don't know.
Yeah. I just think that I don't think there's a win in that one, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that you win. Whoever takes that off the air or takes it off the airwaves is off the internet is just going to take a big L. I don't think that there's a win in that.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think a lot of people care enough that he does something about it. And more people will care. It'll be more of a negative than a positive. It'll be definitely a pretty large swing, I would say, net negative for Trump to outlaw TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot that goes into it also, but I understand the politics of the situation, but at the same time, I don't think there's a win.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we going to go now? I do have something on a personal side, by the way. Hold on before we hop into it. Do your kids watch the same movie? Like, do they get on a kick where they want to watch the same movie over and over and over again?
Yes.
So right now we're on a Despicable Me kick in our house where we're watching not just one or two or three, but all four of them consecutively. And then sometimes we switch it up and we throw the Minions in there.
Yeah.
So
they'll do that. I mean, they just came off of a Jurassic Park kick and they watched all of them.
Nice.
So they'll watch them in order, out of order. They've done it with Star Wars. They have the ones they like. Trying to think. My middle daughter likes scary movies. So she and I have been watching the Conjuring series.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, so like the Conjuring movies, The Nun, Annabelle. We're watching those in chronological order.
There's a new one coming out, right?
Not the order they came out in the movies, but the chronological order. So
okay.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah,
I do that too. I used to. I haven't done this in a
too.
long time. I used to watch all the Bond movies in succession.
Oh,
which is a lot of movies.
It's a lot of movies.
I don't know how many, but it's a lot. It's like I'd say it's like 40. I like those.
Now I'm curious. How many are there? How many James Bond movies are there? 28.
Okay. That's a little, seemed like 40. I was probably throwing in Austin Powers too, you know.
It's a James Bond movie as well.
Pretty much. We're in similar hats today.
We are. I thought we had the same hat on. It would have been really weird if I'd have had the same shirt on. I almost wore that today, but I was like, nah, I'm going with the Rabid Raccoon shirt today.
It's our pod uniform. Trump wants to get rid of mail-in ballots, which, I mean, he always has. That's nothing new. It's not breaking news over here. Which I get the sentiment.
And yes.
And I'm tired of hearing about 2020, But also, we talked about this because we started this podcast before the election last year. I was squarely in the camp of 95% sure that was the correct outcome. And then we see the vote totals come back down, where you see Obama in 2012, upper 60 millions. Trump 2016 against Hillary, upper 60 millions. Biden 2020, 84 million.
Yeah.
And then it comes back down as what, 70, 72 million?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
This in 2024. And I'm like, how do you account when no one was going outside in 2020, the year of COVID? How do you account for 13 or 14 million more votes than we'd ever had before? And then the following year, that number comes back down to about what you would expect with population growth.
Right.
In an election that people care about.
Right.
Like here's my thing. There's a bunch of people listening who are convinced 2020 was a fraud. And there's a bunch of people, not a bunch of people probably, but some people listening who are convinced that it wasn't. That is the biggest smoking gun to me, is the vote totals election over election. I have not heard an explanation for that yet. So I am somewhat tired of hearing about 2020, but also recognize that there's something fishy there. At the very least, something fishy there. So I understand Trump with election integrity and voting integrity wanting to get rid of mail-in ballots. I just don't know how you actually get rid of them. Maybe strengthen the requirements to be able to use one. But like, you can't take that away from our military.
Right.
I mean, I guess if they're all serving on bases or on ships or something, there's a way to have voting at the location, similar to how we have our precincts and voting over here. Maybe that's a way, but you got to think there's still going to be some that are serving in other places where that's not a possibility. And then, like my granddad, got to vote right before he passed away.
Right.
On Veterans Day, and or just right before Veterans Day. And so, they came around to them at the nursing home, like, to facilitate that.
Yeah.
Like, I just think there are some people that need to be able to mail in their ballot. There probably has been way too much of it, and you could probably tighten that up. But it'll be interesting to see what Trump's able to accomplish with this.
I tend to generally think that there's probably a certain percentage of fraud in every single election.
Right.
I think that the 2020 election, the amount of fraud is astronomical.
Yeah.
With that being said, just in a quick search, the 1970s and 80s is when most states adopted what was called a no excuse absentee voting, allowing anyone to request a mail-in ballot. It got larger in World War II. So like prior to that, it was in World War II, is only soldiers could mail in their ballots. And then it was used a little bit in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, and gradually expanded from there. So I just think that, all 50 states have it. It seems like if he's going to get rid of it, it'll have to be a constitutional amendment. And I don't know.
I don't know if it's. I don't think voting law currently. Certain people are protected with their ability and their right to vote.
Okay.
From the Constitution, but actually the administration of it, I don't think is. You would have to make a case, and again, this is where we're not constitutional lawyers, but we're just, hey, we're just talking. It's a podcast. I think you would have to make a case that not allowing a mail-in ballot somehow violates a part of the Constitution or a constitutional amendment that allows equal access and voting.
I just don't see how you could get away with doing away with it completely. Maybe make more restrictions on it to where it
is administered by the federal government, though.
Yeah.
The states are more or less proxies to administer the federal part of the election. They're always done together, but it doesn't have to be. That's something that I learned researching this week, is that they're always run together, but the federal election is technically separate from the state election. That could be like states. What I'm getting at is if Trump is able to do this legally and it stands up in the courts, then any other state could still allow, you can still mail in your ballot, but it's only going to be local and state elections on that ballot. The federal one, you have to come in person. They could do that, which seems like would be a complete non-efficient. But
I mean, if they're trying to get fraud to zero and this is the route they're going, I don't see it ever going to happen.
I don't think you get fraud to zero. And I think Trump will say that, and like they'll say that as talking points, but I don't think anybody rationally thinks you can get fraud to zero. Like you, I believe that there is a certain amount of fraud at every single election, but I don't believe in normal elections and the ones we've had outside of 2020, there's been enough to sway the election, to sway the outcome. I do, looking just at the vote totals alone, in 2020 could see that there was enough to actually sway that vote.
Right.
So my question is, and something I've been thinking about is like, instead of just coming and complaining about the problem, is like, what could you do to make it more secure? And like, to me, I'm an accountant. All right. So I approach like a lot of what I think about from an accountant's standpoint. And you've got people on the voter registries, right? There should only be that many votes that come in, right? So the problem would be is if someone tried to fake my vote with a mail-in ballot, like that vote is attached to me as a person, as a taxpayer, as a voter, as a citizen, however you want to do that. Attach my social security number, whatever you want to do there. Then if I show up at a precinct to vote, then that should trigger a problem. Yeah. Because now where it works is, of course, people who have passed away and like people who don't normally vote and like, but if my actual vote, and I don't think it is not actually tied to me, and maybe they don't want to because they don't want to be able to look up how people voted. So maybe that's something that we kind of have to either get over or find a different solution to. But if each vote is tied to a person, then if someone mails in a ballot for me, and then I show up at my precinct to vote on election day, that should trigger a problem. And if someone verifies my identity at the precinct, that's the one that should stand.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we need to have voter ID?
Yeah, and I don't think that's as big of a problem as people make it out to be.
I don't either.
I think that's one of those issues where the right is always like, we need voter ID, and the left is like, no, we don't. But on the side of the left, I never hear great reasoning for why. Because voting is a privilege. It is a guaranteed right, okay? But it is still a privilege to be able to vote. And you have to get a driver's license. I mean, if you want to drive, like there are certain things, if you want to be able to exercise this right, this privilege that you have to meet certain criteria. So, but I think the left, I think if you talk to someone who's on the left on this argument and they mean extremely well, like they're not just being political, they really mean well. I think their argument against it is they don't want to put any barriers in the place of someone being able to go cast their vote. But I think with the way technology is today and the size of the country we have and the amount of votes we're taking in and the amount of time we're trying to take those in during the short amount of time, I think you're going to have to say no. I mean, it's not, just a few people anymore. Like we're a large country.
I just don't understand the whole barrier like that argument, because it's like, if you want to go vote, there are so many opportunities to go vote. Now, I understand that there are physical disability and military. Like those two things to me are the exception.
Right.
So like if you receive disability from the state or from the federal government, then you should be able to receive a mail-in ballot.
Yeah.
If you sign the dotted line to go work in the military and you're deployed, which we should know, it just seems like a simple solution.
And there has to be time to implement it. Whatever the change is going to be, like I do think like now 2025 is a great time to address it for 2028.
Agreed.
Like it's got to be, okay, hey, if you've mailed in your ballot in the past just because you don't want to go in and vote early or vote on election day or whatever, but you aren't disabled or elderly or in the military, in 2028, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And if you are disabled or elderly and we're going to put a restriction on qualifying for that, here's what you're going to have to do. Doctor statement or whatever it may be, or just maybe over a certain age. And here's how we're going to manage that. Like, we're going to have our registry of people who are allowed to mail in their ballots, and we only expect to get those ballots in the mail. And we're going to check those against that registry. And I think
again,
there's a lot
it sounds
of people
like a
who aren't
very
going to like
simple
that.
solution.
It
sounds like
sounds
so simple.
very simple, but it also sounds very Big Brother about the government knowing how you voted.
I mean, but you have to register for a political party.
Maybe you don't have to.
I guess you don't have to. You can go and.
But you have to, especially in the primary, you have to, if you're going to vote in the primary, you can only vote in one. But, maybe it's not how you voted, but just that you voted. But nobody would trust that,
Yeah, and I just don't care either. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, I have never been the type of guy, like, I'm not going to say, like, if I'm in my circle of people, I'm going to tell you, they're going to know who I voted for.
Yeah.
But like, if someone were to come up and ask me on the street, like, who'd you vote for? I'm like, that's none of your business.
Right.
So there's that. But if there's a registry out there, they have to know who you voted for. They have to.
Well, I mean,
I don't.
This has come up a little bit with the redistricting thing. Like, they've already looked at if these districts were drawn this way in 2024, Trump would have picked up 3 additional seats in Texas. There's been a lot of talk about 5 seats and all this, but truth be told, if the districts were drawn the way that the map that has passed both the House and the Senate in Texas now, then Trump would have picked up 3 additional seats. Yeah. Not Trump. The Republican Party would have picked up 3 additional seats in Congress. But they know that because of the precincts. They know how how many votes went for Trump versus Harris in those precincts. So not how individual people voted based on like their address.
Did you see our new proposed redistrict map?
Yes.
And it's going to be, our district is going to go from 2 counties to 7 counties.
Uh-huh.
So there's going to be 5 additional counties in our district. You have any thoughts on that?
It's pieces, though. It's not the whole thing.
Right. I think it's interesting that how actually big the state of Texas is. This is not a good image that I was looking at. But like the amount of people in our district would be very difficult for them to campaign in that area. Like just run a decent campaign because it's so massive. I mean, you're talking about 4 or 5 hours across one way.
Yeah.
Because it's going from Rockwall. I saw one of them was from Rockwall County all the way to Texarkana. I mean, that's a long ways. I don't know if you have it there on your phone. I couldn't pull it up real quick on my computer, but like if I remember correctly, I remember thinking if you were trying to campaign in this new proposed district, you would have to travel 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours just to reach one end of the district to the other.
Yeah.
And I don't like, other than maybe California, maybe Alaska. I mean, I don't know what their district lines are like up there, but I would imagine that that would be very difficult.
Yeah, 3 is what you're talking about.
Is a district? Did I say 2?
So long.
Did I say 2? I think that's what I meant. It's so big.
It's just they're long strips.
Yes.
But I mean, it runs right along the interstate, so that kind of makes sense. And then there's one up in the Red River. It'll be interesting. There are 3. There's basically the way this works out. We live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and there's 3 Democrat Congress people: Julie Johnson, Jasmine Crockett, who's gotten all the fame in the news headlines, and Phil Vesey, who will basically be vying for 1 seat.
Right.
They think it might be 2, but it's going to wind up probably being 1. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see who wins. I was listening to Julie Johnson on a more liberal-leaning podcast this past week, and she said that she will not be in a primary race with Phil Vesey. They're not going to spend millions of dollars on a primary race. In her words, they'll come to a decision. Her and Phil will talk, and she expects to be on a ballot come November. So,
what she's telling him is you better back off.
That or run somewhere else or other plans, for him. well, who knows how that's going to work out. But, you know, it's more like on redistricting that you would want, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, for states to be represented by a pretty close percentage of the people in that state that voted that way. You know, like we talked about right now, Texas has 38 seats and it's 25-13. We talked about last week, and we could be totally wrong on this. That seems a little light on the Republican side to only have 25 out of 38.
Right.
Maybe it's not, maybe it is. But you have a state like Massachusetts, they have 9. Okay, all 9 of them are Democrats, and Trump got nearly 40% of the vote in Massachusetts. And if you look at a couple of those districts, I mean, the bigger ones are obviously west because Boston is on the eastern side of the state. And so, and a couple of those are like dog legs. Like you have this L shape running way over to the east. And you know that's been drawn that way to pick up more left-leaning voters into that district to sway that. And so anybody saying that everybody doesn't do this and hasn't done it for years is just being naive. It'll be interesting to see for these Democrat states like California, Illinois, that are going to try to redraw their maps to counter Texas. From what I'm hearing on the analyst side is that they've already done it so much they can't do it anymore to pick up. But I don't know if that's actually true or not. But if Texas picks up 3 more seats like these maps show that they would, show that Texas would, I mean, okay, if you don't like that, do you like that Massachusetts has its drawn the way it's drawn so that a state with 9 representatives, all 9 of them are Democrats whenever Trump got, high 30%, almost 40% of the vote?
Well, and to kind of wrap it back to what we started the conversation with is if they don't know who you vote for and which way you vote, then how would they be able to redraw the district lines? So that information is already there.
Right.
Whether it's very public or somewhat public or they have a general idea.
Well, they know by precinct how many people voted each way.
Yeah.
And,
so
the precincts aren't getting split. Like those are staying.
No. Yeah.
Right. And I used to think when this first came out, I thought it was going to backfire. I thought the Republicans doing this in Texas was going to backfire and we might not actually pick up the 5 seats.
Yeah.
Some people may say, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't appreciate my district getting changed. I don't like what the Republicans are doing. More like the middle of the road or independent voter, right? I think because of Gavin Newsom coming out so hard against it, that's going to make people feel like, okay, the playing field has been leveled. California is doing this, and now Texas is doing this, and now California is doing this. And like that voter in Texas who may not have voted or may have not voted or not voted Republican because they didn't like what the Republican leadership in Texas was doing for gerrymandering, like that argument they have is watered down by Gavin Newsom saying we're going to fight fire with fire and do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If Texas was the only one doing it still, I think it has a potential to backfire. But if California, Illinois, and other Democrat states do it, then I think it just waters down that whole argument. And I don't know.
And it may just end up being a wash all the way around. You know what I mean? Like it may be a not for lot for nothing.
The analysts who are saying that the Democrat states can't pick up anymore because they've already done this to the nth degree, if that's true, then it'll be, of course, a win column for Republicans. But if they can draw the lines where they can pick up additional seats, then who knows, a wash or a flip the other way. I don't know.
Just a little bit on Gavin Newsom. I know I talked about a couple weeks ago on about Spencer Pratt. Have you looked into that at any?
I've seen some of the clips.
Well, now, the mayor of LA has filed a lawsuit against him, according to his TikTok. And so he countersued with the support of the Department of Justice. And now there's senators involved. And I wonder how this is all going to play out.
Yeah.
Because typically, and Rogan had I can't remember if it was this week or last week, he was talking to somebody from LA. And they were talking about how everything in that city and that part of California is connected in some form or fashion. Right. I don't remember who he was talking to. But they were talking about how like everything runs through that mayoral governorship office to get approved, whether through Hollywood and all the jobs that you're looking for. And the guy was saying, I think it was Sam Tripoli. I think that's who it was. He was saying that like, and Rogan was commenting on it as well, but he was saying that like all these jobs that these people want, whether it's in Hollywood or the high paying jobs in the government, have to have multiple checks off in order for it to happen. And so I just think that it's interesting that as we continue to look at voters and redistricting, and then now what's happening with the Palisades fire and the fund relief there, that the shadow is being cast towards California, away from Texas, which I find very interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I also have had the thought that Gavin Newsom, this redistricting thing kind of forced his hand a little bit. I think he's having to come out a little too early.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's going to run.
He is going to run, and he is the front runner. You're already seeing the like liberal leaning accounts posting the next president of the United States at a picture of Gavin Newsom. So he's the front runner. He's going to run unless something just drastically changes. But I think he's sticking his nose out a little too early, which you would think nothing's too early, especially in a vacuum of leadership like the Democratic Party is. But, Trump got praise from Hillary and from Bill Maher on Russia. And it's like, last week we talked about Hillary Clinton said that she would nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize if he got peace between Putin and Zelensky and no lines are redrawn. And we said, well, lines are going to be redrawn, so that's never going to happen. That's why she said it. But did you listen to that clip about
I did.
Her talking on MSNBC? It's about 10 days ago. I'm going to play it. This is surprising to me. This is Hillary Clinton on MSNBC.
I actually was encouraged by the events of the last several months. First of all, the NATO commitment by individual member states to increase their defense spending is very welcome. It's something that prior administrations have certainly sought, and I think it's great that we are seeing these commitments that now have to be followed through on. The willingness of European countries to support Ukraine, and by doing so, buy American weapons in order to provide them to the Ukrainians. I think all of that is a very good signal that there is beginning to be a better understanding, both by the president and the people around him, as well as by the leaders of our European allies, that there can be common ground amongst us. And the kind of dismissiveness that we saw in the first Trump administration has been replaced by a much more obvious working relationship to the good of European security, transatlantic security, and hopefully Ukrainian security.
When I first saw that, I had to check to make sure it wasn't AI making her say those things. Because here's my question. I agree with what she's saying. She's basically saying that Trump requiring NATO to do more of their fair share, which has always been a complaint. It's like everybody's always said, the reason NATO exists is because of the United States. If the United States wasn't funding and providing troops and military for NATO, NATO wouldn't have a leg to stand on, which is true. And so Trump requiring NATO, saying, hey, you're actually the ones in Europe. Yeah, you have the borders with Ukraine. Like, you step up and do something, not just the U.S., right? So Hillary Clinton praising Trump for that. And, and then talking about having the European countries step up and making them buy U.S. weapons to provide to Ukraine. To me, it was like, it's really easy when she gets that question about how do you think Trump is handling Russia and Ukraine from the MSNBC host, for her to say, well, he promised in the campaign he was going to end the war on day one, and it's still going on. Like, there's a lot of good liberal Democrat talking points that she could have gone to. And instead, she gives a very thoughtful answer that gives praise to Trump and his administration and saying that he's doing better than he did, which, there's some little like she ran against him in 2016, not in 24. So she can say, well, he's doing a lot better than he was in the first term. We're seeing a lot better attitudes and a lot more willing to work with European allies on this, So I was shocked, really, honestly, to see that. And to see her basically praising, Trump in a way of almost saying he's making good moves and doing the best that he can with the hand that he's been dealt.
I just wonder,
like, go
what's
back.
What's the end goal for her on this conversation?
Yeah,
because like if you, I think I don't know exactly where you're going to go, but if you go back to 2019, she would never have said something like this.
No.
Even during the Biden administration, she wouldn't have said something like this. But I also think the fact that, and just kind of we've now 2 weeks removed from Russia, him meeting with Russia, right?
Uh-huh.
So that happened. We talked a little bit about that, not a ton.
A week and a few days.
Okay.
It was August 15th.
Okay. So then the next Monday, all of the European major players come to the Oval Office.
Right.
Not vice versa. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think it's important that he was in the United States still.
And he sat behind the Resolute desk and they sat in front of him.
Yeah. But I'm talking about with Putin. So breaking down the two. So he's still in the United States, but he goes to meet him. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's very important for people to understand that Putin sees himself as a machismo kind of guy.
Sure.
And he also sees Trump in that same vein, but he doesn't see very many other people in that same way.
Right.
He definitely didn't see Biden that way.
That's right.
He definitely doesn't see Zelensky that way.
That's right.
So the fact that he went there and then all of the other European leaders came to the White House.
Yeah.
I think that is I know it was intentional. I just don't know exactly what the play was.
Yeah.
And the fact that there were multiple images of Trump behind the Resolute desk and all of the European leaders listening to what he was saying, including Zelensky, and then Trump's team standing right behind them.
Right.
And that level of meetings, I mean, you've been in meetings before, and they all look very similar to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in education, we have those style of meetings where
who's leading.
You know who's leading the meeting. And I think that those things matter.
Yes.
In the big game of politics.
And I'm going to play another Bill Maher clip. So this is Bill Maher talking about sort of the same thing with his panel on his show about Trump leading or just in general when it comes to foreign policy.
It's funny, I see that today is the anniversary of Woodstock. This is 56 years ago, and the hippie.
This was his show Friday night, August 15th, so the day that Putin was in Alaska.
What did they hate more than anything else? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So if you're the kind of person who says, you can find some good in anybody, this would be the good in Donald Trump. He really does not like war. Thailand and Cambodia were having firing at each other. Rwanda and the Congo. Most people don't even know about these. India and Pakistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He got involved in all of them. He really, he doesn't really, he wants to. Now, the way he does it, as usual, not, with Ukraine, the solution was, surrender. Give Putin everything he wants. And even that didn't work. That's the thing. He gave Putin anything he wanted, and it didn't work. But again, let's not have the zombie lie that he's still backing Putin because, first of all, he bombed Iran. That was a Putin ally. He didn't get out of NATO.
No.
He mended fences with NATO. So, and he put sanctions back on Russia. So,
You're really coming around, Bill.
I'm not coming around. There's no coming around. There's just to what's true. This is true. Right. I don't come around.
I had to clip
I'm not on anybody's team. I'm on the team. I'm on what's right, what's true, what happened. This is what happened. He just doesn't like war.
And that's what we talked about last week about what Bill Maher just said there. That should be the Democrat talking point. It should be, yeah, Trump's doing some good things. We're not going to deny that. But here's, like, we don't like how he's doing it, so here's how we would do it better. I mean, Hillary Clinton's not even saying that. But you have Hillary Clinton and Bill Maher, both definite long-term liberal Democrats, who are able to come out and say, like, the way he's handling this is basically the best that he can do with the hand that he has dealt, and giving him, you know, quote unquote praise for leading. But this is my point, is that when Zelensky first came to the White House and they had the little shouting match, remember J.D. Vance, the actual Marine, you know, put the hand,
Yes.
you know, to explain his point to him.
Yep.
And we talked about how J.D. Vance is an actual Marine who is now the vice president of the United States, whereas Zelensky's a former stand-up comedian who's now the president of a small former Eastern Bloc country. Like the difference in that tone.
Mm-hmm.
After that meeting, Trump sort of, in his initial comments, was like, whatever, just let him go fight. Like, we tried. You know, he seemed to be a little bit like, yeah, I can't
Kind of hands-off-ish.
I can't work with these people. You know, they're not going to do anything. He cannot do that again. He has to lead now. I do think, and this is a political statement. This is not a what I want our country to be involved with when it comes to Russia and Ukraine type statement. This is a speaking politically when it comes to midterms, when it comes to the Republican Party in 2028. From this point forward, between Russia and Ukraine, Trump has to lead, and he has to bring this to a resolution. If he doesn't, it's going to be his biggest defeat out of everything that he said in his campaign. And I'm not talking about, I know immigration is important. I know the economy is important. This is going to be, I think, a big enough stain on this term to have a major effect either in the midterms or in the 2028 election. He can't be hands off now. He's got to lead. He's got to step in and get something accomplished while they're still blowing each other up. Ukraine just bombed Russia, two power plants today, you know.
Today is August the 24th. And then yesterday or the day before, it might have been Saturday or Friday or Saturday, Russia retaliated with some drone attacks.
Yep.
I just think that I think Bill Maher put it best. And I said it early in our podcast. Like, I am so against war.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't think that there's any good that has ever come from it. Is it necessary at times? Absolutely. Is there times where we have to do certain aspects? I think how he handled Iran is exactly the way it should have been handled. Now that we're a month removed from that, I think that you got to continue to do exactly what he's doing, which is having conversations, talking to these European countries, saying you need to foot the bill. If you don't want them to give up any land, that's fine, but then you have to be able to defend them if they need it,
right?
Because the United States is not going to do it. And I don't know that.
We'll take a supportive role, but we're going to be more here in the background.
Yes.
You know, you guys are Europe. Like, this is your backyard, you know?
Well, and I think that you got to just be able to continue to have conversations. The moment that it stops, the moment that the conversation stops is the moment that it's going to get even worse than it already is. And so I think that he's doing a great job as far as like keeping the conversation going. But if it goes much longer than a month longer from right now, I don't think there is a resolution. At least not as it appears to be right now.
I think they got a little more time.
You think?
But I don't know if we get through the holidays and we get into next year and this is still going on the same way, then that's when I start to feel how you're describing now.
Well, and too, like there was
if we get to 2026 and that's still just the same, we got drone attacks and bombings here and there and this, that, and the other. And it's like, at that point, I'm like, come on. Like, this is starting to feel a little bit like just a never ending war.
So this is not on the run sheet, but it just was a blip on the radar today that I noticed the Venezuela stuff. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. So apparently we've had some kind of argument with Venezuela and the Russians are somehow involved. I didn't really fully understand exactly what I was watching or what I was reading as far as like that, because it was so vague, you know. And like one of the things that I like about what we do is we try our best to keep this stuff like an arm's length away, right? So we don't have an initial reaction. We try to process, see what's happening, but like that is an area in Venezuela where if this is our area now. Where like Europe is a different
Right.
area in a different zone, obviously.
At least in the Americas.
At least it's over here.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how involved we're going to get. I don't know any more than that. I just want to say like that's a whole different zone, a whole different theater, and it'll be very interesting to see how that particular thing plays out.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, other than it's a the news this week was really odd too. I don't know how. I was really, really busy, and I know you were too. But like, I just kept looking for things. Like, even in Texas with the new session starting, there just wasn't a whole lot of things that stuck out.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the top stories. There weren't any new top stories, right? Everything's just a continuation.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of in this kind of like teetering on the edge type of things where you just kind of want to see how it falls. Like Texas was able to get the second special session underway. Democrats showed up, voted straight party lines on the redistricting map, exactly down party lines. But, they got voted on, Senate passed it, and now it's off to Abbott. So they can get on with other items in their special session.
So to close the show, I do want to talk a little bit about the education bills, but I got to get something out of my backpack so you can mark it. But hold on.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, I restarted the TikTok, so hopefully it resets the counter because we're only allowed to stream for an hour. Okay, so one of the things we have not talked about in detail anyways was a ton about the new bills and stuff like that have passed within the education sector. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about some scores over the STAR test over the last couple of years. Since we're both very, very closely connected, me a little bit closer than you, but you're also very closely connected to the Texas education system, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about a couple of things. First off, the STAR numbers were released from spring of 2025, and I just kind of wanted to do a rundown and jump in when you want and when you think you have something to add to it. So I got this from my local association that sends out like information, and it's very, very well put together. Shout out to TCTA, which is like a teacher association that is here in the state of Texas. In 2019, 47% of students met grade level growth or above in ERLA, so English Language Arts. In the 2025 test, we were in 54. So there's growth over that. Now, there was a significant drop-off after COVID, which would be expected, but it's maintained 52 in 2022, 52 in 23, 53 in 24, and then 54 in 25. Now, the one that's kind of concerning to me, especially, is the math scores. The math scores were at 50% in 2019, and they're down to 43% in 2025. Now, that is up from after COVID, which it dropped down to 35%. I think that's one of the things, too, that I didn't mention at the beginning of this conversation, but most people would know that between the years of 22 and 23, the STAR test was redesigned. So they made it to where it was a little bit more difficult. There was not a drop off though from 22 to 23 in any of the 4 major content areas.
Okay.
So the teachers were able to get that redesigned exam, practice with their students, and then there was not a significant drop off. And then in science, pre-COVID, it was 53%, and then in 25, we're down to 46%, but that has increased from 42% in 2021 after COVID.
Okay.
So we've increased there after COVID. And then with social studies, prior to COVID, it was 54. After COVID in 21, it was 48, and it was at 49 in 25. So I think that the scores, if you don't understand how the state grades things, it's a little bit difficult to understand. You're like, man, only 49% of the students met that. No. That's actually really, really good. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you want to know more about that, we don't have enough time to really dive into how each one of those items were placed. But I did find it very interesting that we have not seen a significant drop off from post-COVID. It's stayed pretty much the same. And in all areas, there's been a little bit of growth, but not a ton of drop off from 19, which I think is good. I think that that's a win for the teachers of the state. And I think that that is a very good direction for us to go. And it's a very good jump off point. Last week, we talked also about the health of the schools. And I want to reiterate what I was saying is I don't know that I did a great job explaining it, but I do want to, I view the grades of a school as a health monitor. And I want to say too, if your school is a C, that's not a bad thing. It depends on what they're a C in, right? And so to reiterate what I said last week, if you're a C and you stay a C, that's the problem for long term. I'm not talking about 2 years. I'm talking about 3 years from now in 2028 when they're releasing these scores. If your school stays the same, that's a problem.
Right.
Okay. Because these are the new ones that have come out. The districts fought to keep this information put back because of the redesigned STAR test and COVID.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So a lot of those numbers are going to be back to where they should have been.
Okay.
And those letters are probably a little bit lower than pre-COVID. Most districts are, which is to be expected. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now we have 2 to 3 years worth of data to go into and carry on going forward. Okay. A couple of things about House Bill 6, which was the big bill in the state of Texas. I want to kind of run down the big talking points of them, and I'll jump in and interject as you feel like you want to or need to. Stronger immunity for educators was the biggest one. This was like the teacher bill of rights type of thing. Greater parental involvement. Now as a parent, you are going to be forced to have to come up to the school if there is a discipline problem. Whereas in the past, sometimes you could just make a phone call. Some things might be a little bit different as far as what level of discipline it was, but now there is not. You have to be involved in your kids, with your kids' discipline and the role that they play.
Which is important. I see too many times, and I'm not talking about just people I don't know. There are people I don't know, but say in my neighborhood, we'll see plenty of people posting either on our neighborhood page or even people that I know and I'm Facebook friends with, saying things like, I get them blah 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 between the hours 8 and 5 or 8 and 3, whatever. It's your problem. That's not true, and that's not how it's supposed to be. And so you have a parent that if you have a kid who has a repeated discipline problem, no, we're going to make you come to the school and we're going to handle this together.
Yes.
That gets parents' attention who want to be just hands off, wrongly. And I like that.
Expanded teacher discretion of removal of students from class. I have not been in a district or talked to a personal teacher that I know that this has been a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've talked to teachers personally that I know that have had to have a student removed because of behavioral, and the district has handled it at the district level.
Right.
Okay. Not one of those we give them candy and then they come right back. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know of a teacher that has had this issue. I know that it exists, and if it hadn't existed, there would not have been it wouldn't have been part of the House bill. So I can't speak to that one personally, but it just kind of gives them to where they can remove the student, and especially if it interferes with the teacher's ability to teach and the student educational environment.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit on the pod, but last year I was at a conference or a convention and down in Austin, and a lot of the House members were there, and one of the people who spoke was Texas Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows. And I expected him to talk a lot about vouchers and school choice and education choice and school funding, which is what we expected out of that session. But the first thing he started with was that he had met with teachers, he had met with administrators, and the discipline problems were what he heard the most when he actually talked to teachers about what can I do to help you. And so that was the first thing that he talked about. And so it's good to see that, there were some changes that came out. It wasn't just about, vouchers and ESAs and school choice and funding and things like that, that there were that a lawmaker went down and actually talked with educators,
right?
Listened to them, and then parts of that conversation made it into the bill. That's what I'm hearing.
And what is the James Tallarico? Is that his name?
Sounds familiar.
He was the Democrat that was from Houston. That was the pastor, but also was a former educator.
Oh, yeah.
He was a big advocate for this bill particularly. And again, I want to say I really like that guy in every part of education.
Yeah.
Everything else,
right?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Okay. This is kind of another one that's been, if you have a student who is removed, they have the right to appeal that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that did exist, but I don't know that it was really well presented.
Yeah.
So that there has to be documentation for that as well. So like if you just say you're going to remove a student, the district can't just say, no, they're not coming back. There has to be a reasoning why.
Yeah.
There has to be all these meetings and things that go into that. So that is another part of this. So not only are they giving the teachers the ability to do that, they're giving the parents the ability to do that. But also, like, if you're an 18-year-old student and you're just being removed, they now have the ability to appeal that. Mm-hmm. But also they can appeal it through the parents. So sure. I don't know that that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. I just think that it's just part of the process and it needs to be had. Limits on suspension. As an educator, I hate it when a kid is not in my class. Okay. I understand that there are rules and there are policies, and if you break a rule or you break a policy, they have to be placed in certain placements. Okay. I get it. But I would much rather them be in my classroom than in an in-school suspension or expulsion or expelled or out of school suspension. I would much rather them be with me. So one of the things that is out of school suspension is capped at 3 days, which that I thought that's kind of what it already was, but I guess maybe this just puts it on there. In-school suspension does not have a time limit. Okay. Previously it was capped, but it has to be reviewed after 10 days. So they could potentially spend a lot of time in school suspension, but just under a review.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you an example. This is not something that happened in my district, but something that I do know that has happened. Student gets put in school suspension, ISS. They're in a separate room in a separate area of the school, and they just continue to be belligerent. Mm-hmm. Then they can just stay in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, at a certain point, there were certain caps that they were there. But like, if you're there for 10 days and the behavior is not being fixed, then we need to have a conversation.
Well, that and like, are you accomplishing what you want to accomplish if the behavior is still not being fixed by that form of punishment? Like if removing them from the classroom, it may be what's needed because it serves two purposes, right? The kid who's being removed needs to, this is a way overused word, but needs to be rehabilitated.
Right.
And to say, hey, you can't act this way. You're in a public place. You're in a classroom. There's other people trying to learn. But that's the flip side of it. There's also other people trying to learn.
Right.
And so you need to be able to give them the opportunity to learn where the teacher isn't spending half of the class period trying to keep one student on task who's acting up.
Right. And that's a big issue, especially in lower grades, When you get to the high school, like most of the time, they're coming to school because they want to learn. Mm-hmm. Now, there are truancy laws and things like that, but most of the time, generally speaking, 95% of the kids want to be there because they understand it's an important part of their life.
Right.
Now I'm going to read this just so I don't mess this up, but me reading on the podcast isn't always that great either. Students in third grade or below may be suspended out of school if they pose an immediate safety threat or engage in documented conduct that results in serious disruption in the educational environment or classroom. I think that this is an issue that the elementaries are seeing more and more of. Okay. So I do know someone that actually had a couple years ago, they had a student that was destroying their personal items every day. They would take their coffee out and just dump it on the floor. They would go up and they would break stuff that was personal to them. And if they're below third grade, there was really nothing the district could do about it. They could remove them for short periods of time, but eventually now you can do something about it. Okay, and that goes back to your Dustin Burrows comment. It will be very interesting when you start to put the burden on the parent, what happens with that and how that changes the behavior of the student. So again, we're still talking about HB 6. And then kind of the last two that I find very interesting, there can be DAEP placement policy updates. There's some change in the way that the e-cigarette is viewed. If it's a first-time offender, they can be placed in DAEP. Instead, they may serve at least 10 days in school suspension based on the school policy. I don't know if ours has changed, the district I work at. I did look at several others in our area, and none of them changed their policy yet. So it's an automatic DAEP placement. I think that is a very good thing. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the placement in an alternative education, because it teaches you that there are just certain things that's the line.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about the line in the sand the other day, last week or the week before, but that's a line in the sand. Like, this is something you cannot have in this building.
Yep.
And I don't have a problem with that at all. The last one was virtual expulsion programs. They're now allowing the districts to create these programs to where if a student is expelled from school for a longer period of time, then they now can enroll them and still receive funding, is how I read this.
Okay.
It must be reviewed every 45 days.
Okay.
Okay. I've only been a part. I can't tell the story on the podcast. I'll have to tell you afterwards. But it was my very first at a new district, and not the district I'm working at now, but at a new district. My very first interaction with my principal was an expulsion meeting because a student was enrolled in my class. This was before the first day of school, and the principal had to read the documented notes, and that was a very uncomfortable meeting. She had to say exactly what he did and say exactly what he was talking about. Yeah. And it was just so uncomfortable. Let's just say I'm not even going to say what he did. Okay. Other bills of interest, HB 41 or 1481. This has to do with IEPs. Not super interesting as far as a person who's not in education would be held. House Bill 500. This is something that I found interesting, and you having a wife that's a teacher, provides additional funding for TRS active care to keep the cost of the premiums no more than 10% per year. Now, I don't know.
Gosh, that's still a lot.
It's still a lot. So all the teachers that listen to this podcast, I don't know if there's a ton of them, but there's some. That every single year you're just like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen with our insurance. And it just seems to get so bad. I want to bounce this idea off of you. If we are state employees, why can we not be under the state insurance? That is something that I run it by state employees, and they're like, well, I don't know why you're not. Well, you have your own pension. Well, okay, you can keep our retirement different than our state insurance. You can have a separate pension plan for the state employees and the state, I don't know. That's something that I have never, and I've been in education basically my entire life because my parents were teachers, and that is something that I have never understood. Now, since this was published, this Senate Bill 10 has been in court. It requires public schools to display in a conspicuous place in each classroom a poster or framed copy of the 10 Commandments. If such posters are donated, I can't even get it. This is in the courts. It's not happening at the moment. Lawsuits have been filed.
It doesn't take effect till September 1st.
Correct. But
I thought the only school district that's not going to happen in is just San Antonio right now.
Right. Those ones that are listed in the lawsuit.
Yes.
So
you have to be a plaintiff.
I keep waiting for mine to arrive in my classroom.
I think it will hold up.
We'll see.
Because I thought about this. This is one of those things where as a Christian, I'm like, great, cool, wonderful.
Right.
But I was like, that ain't going to hold up. Right.
No.
I was just like that. But now the more I think about it, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about it, to be honest. Like if I'm just speaking practically about it, I can see the side where it's like, no, these are all good things. Like don't murder, right? Mm-hmm. But how are you going to explain to kindergartners about adultery? Yeah.
I
don't know.
Or like,
don't like somebody else's girlfriend. I don't know. What's the kindergarten teacher going to say? Kindergarten teachers, man, they're salt of the earth. We've had some really good ones.
Same.
Everyone we've had has been great. I'm thinking about our kids' kindergarten teachers, and even like she moved up, but one of my boys had one last year as a first year teacher, and she came out of another career field. And so she didn't just start straight out of college, and like she did amazing. I think she moved up to second grade, but she was great. And we've had really good kindergarten teachers. They're salty there.
Who was your kindergarten teacher?
Mine, Gilliland.
I had Miss Magnus, who has a school named after her.
Yeah,
now. Yeah. So interesting. The next one is Senate Bill 13, which ensures the right of parents to have access to the library catalogs and records of the school library materials.
Book stuff has been a big deal.
I
don't care that much.
Maybe
if I knew more about it, I would.
Okay. So this happened in my household. Okay. I don't remember if we've talked about it on the podcast, but I know that I told you about this. Child of mine was scrolling through their online book catalog.
Okay.
And something popped up that I would have deemed inappropriate for the age of the child.
Okay.
Okay. I immediately reached out to the teacher. Was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, whatever. And it was just one of those situations where it just kind of slid through the cracks and they didn't even really know it was there. Mm-hmm. It was immediately taken down.
Yeah.
Immediately. They didn't even know.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's necessary that I need to have access to the library catalog. I just need to know what my kid's doing.
Yeah.
Right. I need to know and see what they're reading. But that goes back to what we just talked about with parent involvement.
Yeah.
You have to be able to read. You have to be involved with your kid. And I think a lot of this issues that we saw over the last 4 years with students and what they're reading, what they're not reading, and what they're engaged in, what they're not engaged in, goes back to parents. If a parent is involved with their kid, they know what they're reading, they know what they're watching. That doesn't mean that our kids aren't going to screw up. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. But what it does mean is like you as a parent have to be actively monitoring everything that they're doing.
Yep.
And it takes work.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't want to do that. All right, Senate Bill 12. This is kind of the parents' right to their child's education, includes prohibition of DEI and the ban on existing persons with social transitioning.
What's your prediction, though? Will the Ten Commandments stand? I say yay.
I don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah, no, you got to like.
Okay,
you have to pick a side.
If I'm picking a side,
and like it's not what you think about it. It's like, do you think it will stand up? And when we're doing this podcast, say spring break, they're in every single classroom.
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you. I think so.
For a person that teaches world history, I kind of hope I get one because.
Oh yeah, because can the school not provide it? It has to be donated.
I don't know. I don't know. We were told in service that it'll be here on the date that it's supposed to be here.
Yeah, which is.
But like I teach world history, and one of the things that we have to teach, according to the TEKS, is like Hammurabi's Code.
Yeah.
The Ten Commandments.
Yeah, so it's in your.
It's in my TEKS.
Yeah.
So like for me as a world history teacher, it would not be that uncommon for me to have that posted somewhere. We talk about it. We read it.
Right.
And so it's a whole unit of like the justice, not the justice, like Justinian's law, right? So like all of those new laws that are being created within civilizations are in that unit.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun for me to have them on the wall and be like, hey guys, in here, provided by.
This is the only poster we have that's a state law that we have. But well, I wonder if they put this in the law, because for STAR test, you got to cover all your posters.
You'd have to take it down.
Well, you can't. It's against the law.
You would have to take it.
I bet they didn't think about that.
You'd have to cover it.
I bet they didn't think about it.
You would have to, well, technically it's not in any of the TEKS with the exception of world history, and world history does not have a STAR test.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're safe.
So unless they're considering somehow indirect, I'm like shooting from the cuff here, but like somehow considering the Bill of Rights.
Way too in the weeds.
Yeah, like I don't know if that would be like really, really far stretching to try to connect the Ten Commandments to some form of the Bill of Rights. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although that may be confusing.
Yeah.
If you're
There's
teaching
10,
the
there's
Bill of
10.
Rights, there's 10, there's 10. I don't know. But yeah, those are the kind of the big talking points that we had. Obviously, there was a lot of money, delegated to teachers and stuff like that, which haven't seen yet. It's because teachers are still on that 12-month. We're still being paid from last year, which is the bizarrest thing ever.
I know.
It's like your August check is still from the last school year.
Right.
You don't actually get paid until the end of
But you're working
September.
in the- you're
But
working
I'm
in the
working
new
in the
one.
new year
Yeah.
right now.
It is an odd way that all works out, but they make it work out.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really, and I kind of want to also finish off with the cell phone ban stuff. We saw great success this week. I think they did take up a few more,
Okay.
but nothing like what we've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed my students interact with each other anyways.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I didn't see that aspect of it change. But what I am seeing, and talking to, again, not necessarily my district, but other friends in other districts, like you're actually having to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're done with our lesson. Just hop on your phones. That doesn't exist anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's forcing those teachers that haven't always had to teach as long to teach bell to bell.
And I was thinking about it like this, and I don't know how accurate this is, but you think about a kid who's like texting or whatever, talking in between class periods, and like something's going on that has their attention, right? So they're coming into class, they're not paying attention to the lesson, they're not being able to learn because whatever's going on their phone has their attention at the moment. So I think it's a good thing all around. And I think it's a good lesson for adults too.
Yeah.
Like because like a lot of times you'll text me during the day and you see I've got my notifications silenced because I'm in that. I have these work focuses, and like when lunchtime comes around, I'll pick my phone up and catch up. But I'm not productive if I just let the thing ding all morning long or all afternoon long. I've got to have some constraints around that.
I'm trying to learn from a friend. You taught me about Apple Wallet.
Apple Pay
Has been very successful.
It's wonderful.
Okay. So you taught me about this work focus. Like
Yes.
I was really seeing, I didn't really care that much, but like with this new stuff, I've been trying to be real thing. But we talked about the alerts that you get from the school, the Raptor alerts.
Yeah.
I learned that you have to put that into the work
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
I didn't do that the first time.
Oops.
We got an email.
Add that up.
We got a text, and they were like, "Hey, make sure your notifications are on. We may have a drill coming up or whatever." Well, I didn't really think about it because I knew I wasn't going to be on campus the day that the drill was maybe going to happen, and so it went off. And my coaching buddy was like, "Hey, your phone didn't go off." I was like, "Oh, it didn't, did it?" So I had to look it up, and it was on work focus. It was on that focus. So I had to go in, and I just ended up having to turn it off because I couldn't figure out how to add. Because the way that the notification worked is either like all in or all out on that particular app. Okay. So I just had to turn the focus off. So I'm sure there's a way you could do it.
You can add specific apps that will allow notifications only from those apps.
But then like also I couldn't figure out how to not silence the app. Does that make sense? So it has to go off.
Yeah.
Like you have to be notified. Like it's loud. And it's like an
I see
Amber
what you're
Alert.
saying.
It's like an Amber
saying.
Alert.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out right there, and I was like, I'm not messing with this. I'm just turning it off.
I don't have any of that.
So, but it was an interesting take because it's like all of a sudden my buddy's phone goes off and he's like, yours is not going off. It's supposed to be going off. I'm like, oh, I think I have my work focus on.
Yeah.
Probably should turn that off. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a good first couple of weeks. I'm excited about this year. I'm excited about the changes that seem to be coming. I'll let you know next week if I have my poster. I'm supposed to get it on.
That's
I
right.
guess I have supposed to have it by Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, you got a whole nother week, so we'll record again before you get it because it should be there after Labor Day.
Yeah. All right.
Because Labor Day is the 1st of this year.
I'm excited. Any big plans this week?
No, just working.
Yeah, me too. We finished 2 tournaments. We got 2 tournaments left. This one's our home tournament, so it's a little bit more
Looking for that
the
cold
labor
front.
of love. Oh, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, one of our local meteorologists that always posts a lot, that's kind of famous for a local meteorologist, Pete Delkus. He posted this graph, and I never realized this, but basically from now through December, our average high goes down by 10 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's
I saw
still
that today.
it's still 95 is the average high.
Right.
No, it's not the average. It's the high on the first day of each month.
Right.
That's what that is.
That's
Because
what it is.
average 95 would be too high for September. So September 1st is still 95. October 1st is 85, 75. No.
It was more than that because
No,
it was
no.
54 in December.
That's what I mean. So it's 85 in September. That's nice.
right.
75 in October is my favorite month. It's my birthday month. October is a great month. Sounded like Trump when I said that. And then 65 in November, 55 in December, and then it actually gets cold a little bit in January and February around here. But
I'm here for it.
that's all we get.
I can bring back the toboggan episode, the Jack in the Toboggan, where I look like a cancer patient, but that's all right. So, all right, man. Have a great week.
You too.